Welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion with Dr. Otto, Nikki, and Dr. Chris on how they approach weight loss at Physicians Weight Control and Wellness Centre. So, to carry on from the conversation we had last time, what role does pharmaceuticals play in your weight loss approach?
I think they play a major role because, like I said before, we're dealing with addiction, and when in addiction medicine, if you're talking to a specialist in addiction medicine, they use medicines in practically every patient to help them overcome those cravings and those urges and those compulsive behaviors. And it's no different in many of the cases with our patients. Many have compulsive eating. Most of the time it's nighttime, when we come home from work and our day is done and I get to de-stress a little bit. My Bluebell alarm goes off at 9 o'clock every night. Yeah. So medicines that we have available can be very helpful. There's a class of medications that have been around for a long time. Phentermine is the main one in this class of medications. Most people have heard of that. In that class, there's also a medicine called phendimetrazine and another one called diethylpropion. Those are the three main medicines that we use in our office.
Their names sound quite scary.
Yeah.
What exactly are they?
Well, they're a medicine that works in the hunger center of the brain, and basically what it does is it helps change the brain chemistry into a more of a balance so that it curves your cravings. It makes you full faster. It's just easier to make better decisions about nutrition and things you should eat. It allows you that chance, at least, to say no to that addiction to the sugar. And so we've had a lot of success. How long have you been practicing medicine at the Physicians Weight Control Wellness?
50 plus.
And you've used phentermine that whole time, haven't you?
Phentermine the whole time. One little thing about that. I used phentermine in my first patients as a therapeutic trial to see how it would work. And to this day, one of those patients is a person in my heart because it worked.
Yeah. And
she had no other thing that worked for her. Phentermine has been reevaluated at least 3 times by the FDA in my lifetime. Probably more, but 3 that I know of. And it has come out, they can't find any serious side effects with phentermine. That you can discuss the side effects if you want to. There are side effects to all medications. That's why you need a physician and a physician's helper to tell you how to use these medicines. So I wanted to say one other thing about phentermine. It's been around that long. I've used it in patients that long. And I've learned, I would sit in front of you and tell you I probably know more about the drug than anybody else in the county.
No question.
And so we can make this work to help you get onto the nutrition you need, get your weight down, and stay there. And we're not afraid to use this medicine in weight maintenance. Somebody once told me that unless you have a weight maintenance program, your program's a failure. I don't know too many people who don't fail, and I won't name the brand names, on all the different kinds of brand names dieting. They do good for even America's Biggest Loser. Remember that? They failed. So we have experience with this medicine. It's well worth a try.
Right.
What we're actually saying is medication like phentermine, it inhibits the cravings and the compulsions and the drive that the addiction to sugars and carbohydrates in processed food particularly kind of inflict on people. And it is an infliction. That's what an addiction is.
It is.
So phentermine inhibits that and allows them, if I'm hearing right, it actually gives them choices, whereas previously they didn't.
Exactly.
And one of those choices are nutritional and lifestyle changes that kind of run parallel to the physicianal approach to weight loss, and that's where you step in, Nikki. So here I come along, and I'm obese. I have other health issues, but I'm in line with Physicians Weight Control and Wellness Centre's weight loss program. I'm on phentermine, and I spent my life eating processed food, highly addictive sugars. What are you going to do for me?
What I try to help is do small little increment steps. I don't tell you to quit completely 100% the first day. What I say is, okay, let's eat less each day than you did the day before. It's all in small, digestible portions. You don't tell people you have to, oh gosh, hold on, sorry. Even alcoholics, they'll wean off the alcohol versus just cold turkey, because it creates a lot of health detriment to your health if you just cold turkey quit a lot of different addictions. So I am more of a mind of an 80-20 person. So if you're eating wonderfully 100% for 80% of your diet, that little 20%, I'm not saying have that little 20% all at one time, but a little 20% here and there of some, as people say, their cheat food is not going to be the end of the world. So what I do is help you find those little incremental cheats to help, maybe not processed food cheats, but something that could help be the same.
Well, that kind of makes sense, really, because really what we're talking about here is obviously the lifestyle that I've had to this point has been eating the things I like, and the fact that eating the things I like have given me health problems and an addiction that is now being resolved by the doctors. I still like those things. I may be in the position to have a choice to choose one or the other because I've got kind of a relative ease from the addiction compulsions, but I still like various foods. I still like a Mexican. I still like Bluebell. And I guess from that point of view, the thought of coming to you as a nutritionist and you saying to me, you've got to stop all of that, would be quite frightening.
It is.
For me, actually. I'm not sure I'd want to.
It's a slow process, and so taking somebody and helping them through it and giving them the lifestyle changes, not just food. You're not wanting to say, here's just the food, go forth and do great things. You're wanting to help them say, okay, maybe you should slow down your eating. Maybe you need to be more mindful of the places you eat. You're not eating in front of a TV or a computer. And so it is a comprehensive look at everything. Like, he looks at all the comprehensive blood panels and those type of things to say, okay, here's where we need to adjust, here's what the direction we need to go, because there's a term I love to use that's called bioindividuality. Everybody's different. Everybody will react to things differently. Some people may react to onions. It gives them really bad heartburn. So you have somebody who reacts to tomatoes. So everybody has different things. So you're trying to create between him and I a personalized plan for to go forward in. So I'm teaching them to make the better decisions and how to make those better decisions and to what to look for in their food. So you may want that processed gluten-free, because it says gluten-free, it says all natural, but you've got to look and say, okay, well, that's not necessarily natural. And so you've got to look beyond the rhetoric of today's health industry.
I love that bioindividual. What?
Bioindividuality.
It's It's beautiful. There's not a one size fits all in medicine. Never has been, never will be. Ask a surgeon. Every time they go in to do a surgery, the anatomy is just a little bit different. Same thing with the eating styles, and so many things come into play there. How you grew up, was your grandma a good cook or not? Those just there's a lot of things that come into play, and this is where the medicines can really help make those changes, because it allows you as an individual to change your cravings and your thought processes of food. I'll ask patients a lot of time, what are the medicines doing for you? And the answer I hear very often is, I think differently about food. I used to drive down the road on the way home from work and think about which drive-through I'm going to go through, or think about what my wife's cooking and just be all ready and excited about it. And now a lot of the patients say, I don't even think about food. When it's lunchtime, then I'll just kind of think, oh, well, let's go get something to eat. Whereas before there was a little bit of a compulsion to it. So that's where the medicines help. It kind of gives you that ability to make the changes that Nikki's talking about. And each change will be individual. That's what's really great about how she approaches it is, we all have different cravings and different things that we like. And how are we going to incorporate the enjoyment of those things every so often, but stay healthy for most of our eating? You have to keep it realistic.
We do have a very much plant-based, organic eating style, but every Tuesday, my 4-year-old wakes up and says, it's donut day. We walk down to our it's not even a donut store, it's a coffee shop in our building that gets donuts, Hypnotic Donuts. Oh, so good. Every Tuesday, so we wake up, we get dressed, we get ready for school, and she walks down and she picks out her donut. But every other day we're eating healthy stuff.
Right.
We're eating, and it's hard to teach a 4-year-old to not want all the bright and shiny stuff. But and I liken it to a lot of she's attracted naturally to the sugars, to
of course.
Just like all of us are. We've been programmed to do, and it's hard to break that. And she gets upset when there's no donuts, and I can sympathize with
So do I.
But it's all about balance. We try to approach this with a very balanced mindset. You're wanting to eat the
There's
crap.
also a lot of psychology in there, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Because what you're actually teaching your daughter is a healthy lifestyle, healthy nutrition, but a treat's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So long as the treat doesn't outweigh the nutrition and the balanced diet that they're on, then it's okay.
And it's very hard to teach a 4-year-old that.
It's very hard to teach 4-year-old anything, isn't it?
Or a 51-year-old.
Yeah.
It's interesting that that's kind of how our grandparents ate,
It is, isn't it?
isn't it? The first thing is you think about, you remember blue plate specials at the cafe?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they were those lunch specials every day that have something different, but the plates were about this big.
Yep.
And so aside from being smaller portioned back then, the way they ate was they bought their foods 3 or 4 times a week, so they were eating fresh foods. And they may have had a really special dessert treat on Saturday night, or they just didn't have all the added sugar and processed foods that we have, and so it's a big difference.
And there's also this thing that it's recent generations that have kind of steered away from the traditional eating approach that certainly I recall having, which was you had access to 3 meals a day and you didn't look for anything in between.
Right.
But now we have 3 meals a day filled in with
Snacks.
candy bars, snacks. And
Well, you may have had tea and crumpets at some point.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're all guilty of it. But that seems to be part of the, if you like, the processed food advancement, is to infiltrate every moment of our life.
It's 'cause
Not
it's
just meal
convenient.
times.
It's convenient, and
Yeah.
people no longer stop down for food. They want it fast and right then, and the processed foods provide that for them. And that's why I think that there's been an uptick in so much dependence on it, because it's easy, and that's something else that we need to pull away from. We need to actually get back to eating together, eating the enjoyment of cooking.
Yeah.
And people are, I don't have time for that. Well, there are things called batch cooking. You can batch cook on a Sunday afternoon and just pull it out, and it's still good for you. You're still eating things that are yummy. Because that's what everybody thinks is, oh, you can't eat anything good because you're on a diet. I don't like that word. I don't like the word diet at all. I do not recommend them. I talk about foods. So that's
You sound like my mother.
yeah.
Yes, and I want to tell you, it was a microwave and the freezer. We didn't have any of those. And we went to the grocery store. We went to the butcher shop, grocery store. We bought bread in the bakery. We had 4 places we'd go every other day. And we'd carry the bags home.
That sounds awesome.
And that's how she prepared our meals. And I'm glad to have been of that generation. Now I'm of this generation, and it's delightful for me to see the way you guys are approaching this. I think it's awesome.
I can remember when your mom saw our microwave for the first time.
Oh yeah,
That
she
was
had a fit.
quite a surprise.
That's funny.
How does that work?
Yeah. See, I don't, and I'm one of the ones that I don't like cooking. I don't, but I do it for the fact that I know it's what's best and what's healthiest for my family. And so it's hard when people, I don't like cooking. I'm like, well, neither do I.
He likes it.
See,
I
don't
do,
like
but
it.
we have a busy family too, and sometimes you just can't get there, and so you got to learn how to survive in other ways.
that's
what the lessons are.
Yeah, and that's why I advocate. I'm a big advocator of batch cooking. You cook, you freeze, you pull it out.
Yep.
It's,
There you go.
It's easy.
So
Let's find a natural stopping
Wrap it up.
point.
He's like,
so
what
we can
does
start a
this
new one.
mean?
okay, well, thanks everybody. It's an actual stopping point.
You know what? And I'll leave that in there.